This is the opposite. When you read this, you kind of figure, oh, red means buying. No. On this one, it actually means red is selling. Deep, deep, dark blue is buying. And if you look at right now, who's actually buying on the very right-hand side? It's the massive whales. According to this, wallets that have 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 plus, they are buying by the boatloads, okay? That's why it's deep, deep blue. It can't get any deeper blue than that. While the retail started selling because they're panicking. They're falling for the FUD, and they don't quite understand. But this is definitely the time to accumulate. That's what those whales are doing. They're massively buying Bitcoin behind the scenes while retail is wondering, oh, we go down to 30,000 again. No, it doesn't matter. We know over time, nothing outperforms Bitcoin. It just keeps on going up. Short-term volatility means nothing. That's why these big whales right now, they are buying by the boatload. That's why I say every day, guys, do not let these guys take away your financial freedom or life-changing wealth, because when you sell, that's exactly what's happening. There's another chart that shows that we are definitely in an accumulation stage. That's why we're in those blue dots. According to Plan B, right? Accumulation, that's what the whales are doing. This is the time to accumulate before we break into a new high for Bitcoin and all the alts out there. We will break through. We will get back to previous high and break through. It's just a matter of when. Is it going to happen as soon as this year? It could. We're only in February. A lot can happen. Just go back 6 months. Going back to October, look at how fast things moved in October and November, right? The whole year, we had like sideways movement in 2023, and then just a few months, we saw explosiveness. So even though we may have some sideways movement right now, maybe even all the way up to the halving event, but when explosiveness comes, you just can't prepare for it, right? That's why you just got to be patient. You got to be in the game. Otherwise, you're going to be left out, and you're going to feel the FOMO later. There are some whales, some very, very, very large whales that are buying on BitMEX. And this is what it looks like. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can see the red right there, the exchange net flow, and it's extremely in the negative territory. Now, this by itself doesn't mean a whole lot. Maybe, it's a coincidence. Maybe there's just some whale that's buying, but so what? But when you zoom out and look at BitMEX, and you look at all the times there have been massive outflow, for whatever reason, there's a lot of whales that like BitMEX. You could see that whenever there are massive outflows, what happens with Bitcoin? Bitcoin goes up in a tremendous way. So you go all the way back to the COVID crash back in March of 2020. You see it there. Then you see it right after the halving event. That's when Bitcoin really shot up. You see it like January 2022. There was that big red spike. It went up, right? We saw it in October, and that's when Bitcoin really started going up in 2023. And then we just saw it again. Coincidence? Or is this a precursor to something big that's about to happen? Tomorrow could be a good day. Tomorrow could be a really good day, especially if Grayscale their selling slows down, right? And based on history, the Friday after FOMC meeting tends to be really good. And plus, you have this. There's just a lot of things happening. A lot of really good things happening. This is a time where it's testing people's patience, right? But we forget that not too long ago, Bitcoin was much, much lower, even though people have short memories, and it seems like we've been down and out forever. That's just not the case, right? So something's brewing. Something's building up. And this breakout that mimics previous cycles leading up to the halving event and then afterwards, right? Still on schedule. Nothing has changed, right? So things are still looking pretty darn good. All right. And as for global asset value, sometimes I throw out these very large numbers from fund managers and from analysts. It's not like I'm picking it out of thin air and people blame me for it. Like just a few days ago, I said Bitcoin could go to 650,000. That's straight from Cathie Wood's mouth. And then people lash out at me like, oh, you're giving people false hope. I'm just reporting what others feel, okay, how they're speculating. And I agree with them. And here's the reason why. Because if you look at how much money is out there in the world versus how much money is in Bitcoin, you'll soon realize that just a small fraction, a very small fraction of the global asset value coming into Bitcoin will send it up to $1 million each in short order. Okay, Bitcoin is often compared to gold at 12 trillion. Bitcoin needs to hit about 700,000 each to equal 12 trillion in market cap. So that's stage one. But look at everything else. The art, I didn't even know art was worth this much. Art in total is worth 18 trillion. I guess there are a couple pieces that are considered priceless, so I don't even know how you measure that. You got cars, collectibles at 6 trillion, which is already 10 times bigger than Bitcoin. You got global equities, obviously, with all the stocks and so forth, right? You got real estate market, tons of people in real estate. You got global debt and global broad money, like everything else that's out there. $900 trillion worth of money. $900 trillion worth of money out there. And Bitcoin isn't even at 1 trillion yet. So just a sliver of that, just 1% of that would be $9 trillion. That would push Bitcoin close to $600,000 already, if you think about it, right? That's just how much money there is. And that shows how early it still is in Bitcoin. That's why when the supply shock factor really comes into play, it'll be next to impossible for any retail investor to buy. Because when Bitcoin is at 600,000, even to get 0.1 Bitcoin at that point will cost you $60,000. To buy 0.01 Bitcoin will cost you $6,000, right? I mean, that just shows you how early it still is, right? You could buy a full Bitcoin for $42,000. You could buy 0.1 Bitcoin for $4,000. But in the future, it's going to be 10x, 20x higher. But as for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin went down a little bit, but overall, we're still holding strong at 42,000. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that thinks Bitcoin could go to 100,000 by year end. Morgan Creek Capital CEO Mark Yesko also sees that, yeah, we're going to have some explosive rallies this year. We have only begun, but there are going to be so many rallies this year that will drive us much higher. And it's not just him too. A study reveals that 84% of investors expect a new all-time high this bull run. Of course, right? If you look at overall, East Asia, Southeast Asia, West Europe, East Europe, and then MENA and LATMA. I don't even know what regions they are. But they're all like 80%, except East Europe. I don't know what their deal is.